costs of operations are way beyond the ticket price. So that's what Duet focuses on, and we're really lucky to have you this morning. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Duet to start out?
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for having me on. So at Duet, we are a mobility as a service technology company. So our software company, we offer our software as a service or SaaS product to professional fleet operators to help them improve their operation efficiency and mainly improve their productivity. So which means actually more number of rides per vehicle hour.
Mm-hmm. So with professional fleets, as opposed to, let's say, traditional public fleets, there aren't set routes and there aren't as longer routes. Is that correct?
Kind of, yes and no. So professional fleet in our context, actually, it's in contrast with crowdsourced individual cars and vehicles, which is a ride-hailing model. So for us, professional fleet could be both private and public. So for instance, VTA's fleet could be our professional fleet, could be our potential customers, or like the town cars, shuttles owned by individual business could be our customers as well.
Great. So how long has Duet been running? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about what Duet is doing right now in this space.
Okay. So we actually have a quite long history. We started about 4 years ago, and we started with a very different model. We are mobile platforms to connect commuters to carpool. So
right. And you're located in San Jose, right?
Yes, currently we're located in San Jose. When we started, we were in San Francisco. So, well, if you are familiar with, there are a couple of players in the carpool space, Scoop and Wade's carpool, which is from Google. So we were very similar. And then a year later, we realized there are some intrinsic challenges in peer-to-peer ride-sharing space, which is critical mass. And then in the meantime, also the companies, the corporate partners we're approaching to, and they actually give us great ideas and then point to a direction which we thought would be more interesting. So that we pivoted about 2.5 years ago. So to our current model. So that's so right now we work with I said professional fleet. Mainly we actually serve specifically focus on the specialty transport, we call it. So fleet with the contract in, say, non-emergency medical transport and the senior transport space.
Mm-hmm. So what led you to focus on this space?
Well, it tied into your initial comments about the economics structure of in transit space or transportation space. So I think actually on the service side, everybody will understand our willingness to pay for service actually it's a little bit limited. So $2.50, that's the ticket price we pay for a transit service, which is reasonable for everybody. But the cost of providing that service is actually typically very high. Just using VTA as example, their bus service in San Jose area cost VTA about $20 to $25 to provide per ride, whereas they only charge us $2.75. So there's a gap. So for us, the reason we focus on specialty transport is there's no such gap. It's not there's no such gap. It's actually the gap is already filled by insurance company in the non-emergency medical transport space. So insurance will pay for the qualified riders. And then in senior transport, typically the senior communities is a contract based. The community will subsidize. So for us, there's no marketing costs. There are also no subsidies we have to pay in. So it's a little bit more economic ways to actually get into the space.
Right. So you're in this space and you're getting it right. And you talked about the fact that you're helped to drive down some of those costs. What are the biggest efficiencies that you're able to get because of your platform for a transit network like that? And then I'll have a follow up.
Sure. So the couple things we do well. First of all, we have so for our solution, it comes with two components. One is we call it a new service model. So that's in comparison with the ride-hailing, the fixed route bus services. So we have a new service model which enable us to do dynamic routed and shared ride much more efficient than the ride-hailing service. And then the second component in our solution is the technology, enabling technology. So it's built us to support, developed to support our new models. So the way we improve productivities is by, first of all, optimize routes, which is very important. Second of all, the most important part is we support a shared ride even at a very low geographic scale, which means actually like a really suburban area or even rural area, we were able to enable shared ride, whereas like Lyft, like Uber, Lyft, ride hailing, or even fixed bus, very challenging to do that.
So if I recall correctly from our pre-conversation, you're working in 2 areas of the country with networks. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so we work with right now 2 private fleet operators, one in Florida, one in here local in San Jose. Both of them are in medical transport space. This is their focus. So they have contracts with insurance companies, and then every day they will go to the insurance company's portal, download like 200, 300 bookings for next day. And then they need technologies to actually help them assign those bookings, like package them into trips, assign it to the driver and vehicle available. So that's what we do. We do it dynamically. We don't do it the day before. We do it actually in real time, so to accommodate the various changes, real-time changes better.
Got it. So, and really appreciate that. So, I think a lot of people are asking the question, both in the industry and I think really overall, kind of, what does the world look like after lockdown? And if we have kind of persistent, either, repeated shelters in place that have huge impacts like today, or if we have kind of new rules, so to speak, over, longer periods of time. Things look a little different in the mobility space. When you think of that problem and you think of Duet, what are you hopeful for, and where do you think that you can help make a difference?
Yeah, okay, that's a really good question. I don't think I have I know the future better than any of you, so I can share you with my perspective. So we're in shared ride space. Obviously, this is not a topic people want to talk about in pandemic time. And then I think our space will probably be a little bit slower to recover, but it will recover because there are a couple of things actually I think will be interesting. Actually, will support us. Is one is that like after this prolonged lockdown period time, a lot of people may actually get used to, accustomed to work from home, and then they have the flexibility of working from home. What does that mean? That means actually they don't use their cars that often. And then they also, in this 6 weeks or so time, a lot of people realized like life is just fine without owning a car, as long as you have access to EV services, right? So that's a change of user behavior. So it will be really, really interesting to see after we finish the lockdown, the shelter in place, and then how people's behavior change around transportation. I think it's going to be like probably polarized. Some people will jump into the car right away. Other people will actually just stop using the car. So that's one change I think will happen. Another one is if you look at the last 5 years, the service innovations going on, ride hailing, e-scooters, they actually, I think they're inflated in a sense. So they use subsidies, a lot of subsidies to attract a lot of tractions. But now in the economic hardship time era, these subsidies are going to be gone. So there, I think actually I heard industry analysts also comment on that. Their market share might shrink, so they will be more going back to the their equilibrium, new equilibrium, which is a more economically sustainable and viable model, which is smaller market size, but higher price, but like more profit margins. So that's what I'm thinking, which actually create the rooms, because people, when that happens, people need new service. When they have the benefit of using service, and they will clamoring for services again, like affordable ones. So I think this is a time new models, new innovations can come in and really have a opportunity to shine.
Right. So I really appreciate that. Now, with the commercial fleets you've been working with, the vehicles and the drivers are really provided by the commercial entity. And that's really the same for public fleets in a lot of ways, right? Or at least in public transit fleets. So, as you're saying, this does give rise to a need for maybe a more dynamic approach to transit at times, and where we have to manage load and where we have to manage distance. That can be an increasingly complex problem. Do you feel up to that challenge?
Yes, definitely. This is actually, I would say, the real mission for us. We don't want to limit it to special case, to a specific group of riders. What we want to do is to enable the service more affordable, accessible, and attractive to everybody everywhere. So transit, or the way we can add value, is a lot of transit agencies, they have service areas which right now they couldn't justify to provide service because the density is too low, the population is very small. So using a dynamic share model, they actually will tip over that hurdle. So you will be able to make the cost justification worthwhile, and because we can improve productivities. So, so basically enable them to provide more services to more areas. So I think that's the next move we would love to have to do.
Right. Well, that's excellent. So we are 15 minutes with Prospect Silicon Valley, so we're not going to go beyond the 15-minute. We did get a little late start, and I really do apologize for that. But we have, we had a great conversation with you. We're glad that you're out of the elevator. And we're glad that you're doing what you're doing, because it's going to be increasingly important, especially now that we've got kind of a more complicated life here. So thank you very much. Taylor's going to share Jing's LinkedIn link if anybody doesn't have it already, and really appreciate everybody's participation. Our next 15 minutes is going to be on Wednesday next week. Wednesday the 6th. Is that right, Taylor? Is that the 6th?
Correct.
Thank you. So we're going to be with Ken Alex, formerly of Governor Brown's office, the Strategic Growth Council, and the Office of Planning and Research, now Director of Project Climate. So thank you all. We really appreciate your participation. And if you like this, please let us know what you're liking about it, because we want to continue to do this and make this a rich experience for everybody who participates. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Happy Friday.